Are you one of the millions of people plagued by appearances? Are you pouring all of your energy into appearing to be together instead of pouring that same energy into just being together? Allowing the appearance of your current set of circumstances to dictate how your day, your month, and even how your entire year proceeds? If so, then right now, plug into this next chapter because I have some advice that could really help you. The Power Narrative Podcast welcomes you to Black History Month. And although I celebrate Black history every day, this is the time of year where I do a lot of self-reflection and reflection upon the lives of the great heroes and sheroes, transitioned ancestors, and those still here fighting for equity and equality against the wickedness of oppression that still exists in our society. We honor you. For the Emmett Tills of our day, who have become martyrs for the cause, demanding that we change the narrative, we honor you. Power plugs around the globe, I welcome you to the In Spite Of series and chapter 17, In Spite Of Appearances. 3 years ago today, my dad transitioned from this life to the next, and it's still very challenging. But every day, we have a choice on how we show up in the world. Now, I could have allowed the emotion of sadness to take priority and the appearance that he is no longer with me prevent me from showing up and delivering this message of hope to the person who it's designed to help. But in spite of the appearance that he is gone, me, being spirit first, knows that he is always with me, even more so now in the spiritual realm where I can draw strength and wisdom from, because the clutches of Alzheimer's no longer has the power to limit him from being present in my life. Here's a quote from my dad, and I can hear him say this: "Son, it's mind over matter. If I don't mind, it don't matter." In other words, it's what I choose to mind or focus on that makes all the difference. I draw strength from that power narrative, Dad. Thank you. Here are some other power narrative quotes. Whatever we believe about ourselves and our ability comes true for us. The words of Susan: "Doing the best in this moment places us in the best place for the next moment." The words of Oprah Winfrey: "We may face many defeats, but we must not be defeated." The words of Maya Angelou: "Champions are made from something deep within. A desire, a dream, a vision." The words of Muhammad Ali: "Change will not come if we wait on some other person or some other time. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change we seek." The words of Barack Obama: "The greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he can accumulate, but in his integrity and ability to affect those around him positively. The words of Bob Marley. When you research the lives of any of the following people whose wisdom we just heard from, based on appearances, based on their family history, based on how they grew up, based on the challenges that they faced, and in the time that they faced them, by design, by the cause and effect, they should not have amounted to anything, and we should not even know who they are. They should have, by design, allowed the ugliness and bitterness of their environment to defeat them, to discourage them, to poison them. They should have succumbed to the poison of hatred and poverty. They should have remained nameless people that fade away. The reason why we know them is they followed a formula that's based on this month's series, In Spite Of. In a previous chapter, I talked about cause and effect and how we notoriously will examine the effect of a thing without looking at or realizing that there was a cause. We're going to go a little deeper than that, because a long time ago, I used to, because I was in such a dark place, I used to just want to be all right. All the songs that I listened to had this message of it's going to be all right. But guess what? When you go a little deeper, you grow. And it's not enough to just be all right. I am going to thrive. These people thrived. They wanted the best. You can have the best too, in spite of the appearances around you. So you have cause and you have effect. You may not be in control of the cause, and you may not be in control of the effect. But what you and I have 100% control over is how we allow the effect to affect us. What am I talking about? Let's dig in. Cause and effect are sequentially related. For example, cause. Someone sets a house on fire. Effect. The house burns down. Now, how this house fire influenced the people who lived in that house is the effect. This is where character makes all the difference. One person may have been affected in a way where they gathered their family around and said, you know what? I learned a very important lesson today. We walked away from the fire with the most valuable thing, and that's our lives. Someone else could have been affected a different way and could have said, I don't want to hear any of that. I lost everything in that house fire, because their identity could be tied up in things. How one thing affects someone else or influences someone else depends on that person. Power plugs, let me tell you something. Life can get very blurry. But when it does, you can allow the appearance of what did happen break you, or you can allow it to make you by doing this one thing, by changing your focus. Never underestimate the power of your focus, because what you focus on, that is the thing that grows. In scripture, there is a man who is said to be the wisest man to have ever lived by the name of Solomon. And he says in his journey of growth, he says one thing happens to them all. The good, the evil, the ones who sacrifice, the ones who don't, the rich, the poor. But that's not the key. He tells the story about a city, a small city, who was overtaken by a great king. And the king did all these things and messed the people up. And he said within the city, there was a poor, wise man who was despised by the people. Why? Because he was poor. It was the wisdom of this poor man that saved them all. No matter how much money and no matter how much influence the other people had, it was the wisdom of this poor wise man that saved them all. What was it that Bob Marley said? It's how you positively affect those around you that matters. That's what counts. It says, set your, in the word, affections on things higher than this earth, where all these things can happen, where change can rob you of this and that or the other. Set your affections on a higher plane so that when these things occur, which they can, the way that it affects you will not be the same. Everything is by design. And if you think that life only happens by chance, then there is a huge possibility that there is someone who is intentionally benefiting off the fact that you think otherwise. So the challenge question is this: how are you going to show up in the world? How are you going to allow cause and effect to affect your life? Are you going to continue to pour your energy into believing the appearance of a thing and trying to keep up with appearances? Or instead of allowing life to continue to be blurry, are you going to change your focus and live an intentional life, taking back the power that you used to give away? To change the narrative in your life, take the next step. Invest in yourself and book a life strategy coaching session with me at www.beliefinteriordesign.com. Let's start the journey of making belief reality.